Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for tuning into this week's recap of the Lansing Watchdog, your trusted source for small business news. As always, I'm Francesca Rocco Ellis.
I'm Jacob Manning.
And Jacob, what can you tell us about the special election that happened last week?
Yes, so we finished our program out last week by discussing a special election that was taking place, and that election did happen on Tuesday. And while the result was expected by many, the margin came as a bit of a surprise. Saginaw City Fire Captain Shedrick Green won his special election to replace now Congresswoman Kristen McDonald Rivet in the state's 35th Senate District. This is a district that Kristen McDonald Rivet won by 6.8 points in 2022. McDonald Rivet is a Democrat. Then President Trump won the district by 1 point in 2024, and now the district has swung massively in favor of Democrats, with Green winning by 19%. Green's win marks Democrats' 27th victory out of 39 special elections nationwide this cycle, leading Michigan Democrats to link the result to voter frustration over rising costs, including gas and groceries. Republicans cautioned against viewing the race as a national bellwether and said that special elections don't predict November. Republican candidate Jason Tunney lost all three counties, Saginaw, Bay, and Midland, despite GOP claims of strong positioning for the fall. Democrats outspent Republicans by more than $1 million, with many GOP groups limiting spending strategically, expecting Green to be the eventual winner. Green ran on his background as a U.S. Marine and as a firefighter, highlighting the district's blue-collar economy. Attention now shifts to a November rematch. Despite the blowout in the special, this was considered to be one of the biggest toss-up races for the state Senate this November. We will see in November, though, when turnout is expected to be much higher, if this race was indeed a bellwether or just the result of a low turnout election. Now back to you, Francesca. What can you tell us about some news that broke last week with the Attorney General?
Yeah, Jacob. So last week, General Dana Nessel announced that Faye Beydoun has officially been charged with 16 felonies over the misuse of a $20 million state grant. These charges include conducting a criminal enterprise, forgery, and multiple counts of larceny by conversion. If convicted, she could face up to 20 years in prison. Beydoun is a former Democratic Party leader and fundraiser for Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Prosecutors allege she used her political connections to secure what Nessel called a glass slipper grant, a legislative earmark written so narrowly that only one recipient could qualify. According to the Attorney General, Beydoun spent more than $1.3 million from the first $10 million installment of the grant, but investigators believe less than $20,000 went toward legitimate business expenses. Instead, state investigators allege the money was used for personal legal bills, home furnishings, political events at her residence, and expenses connected to her son. The affidavit also claims Beydoun repeatedly misled the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, including submitting a forged legal invoice and falsely reporting project progress in order to continue collecting a salary of more than $550,000 a year. Governor Whitmer's office responded by saying misuse of taxpayer dollars has no place in Lansing and called for accountability. The administration also emphasized that its current budget proposals excludes these types of legislative enhancement grants. Beydoun's attorney called these allegations illogical and said the defense will fight the charges in court. The case is assigned to Farmington Hills District Court and is the second criminal case tied to disputed legislative earmarks from 2022 state budget, adding new scrutiny to how millions of taxpayer dollars are awarded and monitored in Michigan. Now, back over to you, Jacob. What can you tell us about data centers?
Yes, so last week, MERS News Service released an article about data centers and their messaging problems. As debates over centers intensify across Michigan, industry advocates are trying to rewrite the public narrative, but a longtime political consultant and an SBM board member says some may be arriving late to the conversation. Adrian Hemond is a Lansing-based political consultant and the owner of Grassroots Midwest, and he spoke with MERS that he's been contacted by multiple data center advocates seeking to help counter growing skepticism around large-scale data center projects. Heeman said that changing public perception becomes more difficult and more expensive once resistance is formed. One of his central recommendations is to keep tech executives out of the spotlight. Heeman argued that when technology leaders frame data centers in terms of artificial intelligence breakthroughs or radical changes to the future of work, the message often falls flat with voters. He said that many residents distrust Silicon Valley figures and sweeping promises about a tech-driven future. Instead, Heeman says that data center supporters should focus on everyday services that people already rely on, including social media platforms, online banking, e-commerce, and financial systems, all of which depend on data centers to function. Can you close us out for the week, Francesca?
Absolutely. Just wanted to remind everyone to join us for SBAM Advocacy Champions Training Day next week on May 19th, right here in the SBAM office. During the training, we'll be covering how to apply for a gubernatorial appointment to a board or commission, how to testify in front of a committee, how to effectively meet with a legislator, and we'll also include media training. The RSVP deadline is Thursday, May 14, and we would love for you to join us. And with that, Jacob and I wish you a great rest of your week, and we will catch you next week with more updates.